In-camera editing is a way of editing footage through a camera. In-camera editing is widely used by the lens of a camera. The lens of a camera can be adjusted with focusing, so some editors blur out the scene and then focus on the lens, so it's an editing technique that makes the viewer query of what's behind the blur. In the past, editors used in-camera editing to focus the camera on a character. In the Birth of a Nation movie, there was a lot of in-camera editing featured, and in one shot there was a character loading up a firing cannon, and his surroundings were dark as you could only see him, so this made the audience focus on him and what he was doing, even though he was on a battlefield with a lot of other men in the battle. Following the action. Following the action is a technique used mostly in action movies, especially in explosive scenes. Following the action can be used in different scenes. It is frequently used in sport techniques, where the camera is following the action of the football through different camera angles and techniques. Following the action is used also in a fight between two people. For example, when one person attacks the other, the camera will be focused on the victim to show his emotions and expressions after he's attacked, and then the opposite. In action films such as Taken, for example, there is a lot of following the camera techniques in the scenes, as the main character's role is full of action and a lot of violence. In a scene, there is a bullet which is a sniper, and it is shot as it is followed by different cameras till it has reached its target. This is very effective because it shows the journey of the bullet and the impact, and also where it had come from and who shot it. Multiple points of view. Multiple points of view is an editing technique which allows the audience to view the situation and in the perspective of a few or more people. Multiple points of view is commonly used where there might be a massive conflict and the editor wants the viewer to see the footage in every possible angle. In some films where there are court cases, there will be most likely a shot of the defendant's point of view and also a shot of the judge's point of view and the lawyers, barristers, etc. When the shot is in the defendant's point of view, then it would put them in the place of court as if they are being dealt with by the judge. But if it's in the judge's view, then you would see the defendant in a different light. This technique can also be used for a murder for a number of different reasons, sometimes for sympathy, also as if somebody has been beaten up on the floor and the point of view is facing the attacker upwards. It makes the audience feel weak, and this increases the feeling of fright and dramatically towards him. Shot, reverse shot. To edit a conversation between two or more people, cut from one to another, then back again. This is the most common in conversations between two or more people. For example, two characters in a film are talking. One tells the other some bad news, and the camera firstly is on a close-up of the character telling the news, and then once he has told this bad news, the shot switches to the other character to see his emotions. This editing technique is similar to cutaways, where the shot will switch to something else and maybe back to the first shot. Only difference is while the shot cuts away, the audio or dialogue is still playing. The development of editing principles in the early years. Editing has developed and advanced from the early years, which were around the end of 1800 to the start of the 1900s up until the 60s. The Lumiere brothers had brought out a film on the 22nd of March 1895, and around this time it was very popular indeed, especially as people hadn't seen anything like it before, as it was a moving footage which would have been tape projected onto a screen. They could only film until the tape ran out, as it was limited, and they couldn't edit any footage because the technology wasn't good enough at the time. They were also known for their incoming train film, which was a point of view shot of a real life train coming towards the camera as if like it was going to head straight into you. This was new to people, so a lot of people were shocked and indeed had jumped out of their seats, but it was just a start. George Méliès is a big name when it comes to development of editing, as he played a big part in introducing a new technique of editing which would shock the world. He was an illusionist in the theatres of Paris, and he had pioneered double exposure, or in modern terms, double exposure, which led him to produce a mind-boggling film which had the world confused and clueless of his editing techniques. Sergei Eisenstein was the first to introduce emotion through film. His judgments were correct, along with Kuleshev's, as they had found was proven, also with Kuleshev's. As Kuleshev has stated that if you associate a certain person with a certain thing, it can trigger the audience to feel aware to that person. As he showed in his film, a baby with a man, so people would have thought that he was a passionate man. A hot woman, which would have stated lust. food, and which would have stayed hunger and desire for food. Development of editing principles in the modern era. In-camera editing in the modern era isn't used as much as now, as there is access to thousands of editing techniques and softwares like Adobe Premiere and Final Cut Pro, but in-camera editing is still used for techniques. The hand-over camera technique is still widely used in the modern day, as it is a very effective technique to switch scenes, and it is also creative compared to a basic dissolve. Another in-camera editing is a point of view shot, as if somebody gets punched in the face and then his fist covers the camera lens and then he blacks out. However, the film returns from black to life again, as if he had recovered from a punch, as he would have been knocked out. Following the action. In the present day, following the action is used in a number of different genres, from football films to action-packed thrillers. In a football film, the camera would follow the football to where it was going and where the action would be taking place. There will be shots from different angles, like a point of view shot of a striker, and also from the goalkeeper and from the crowd. Development of editing technology. Editing technology has dramatically advanced in the last couple of decades, along with technology itself. Editing was originally done by placing different pieces of footage together, as shown by George Méliès and other filmmakers. From kinetoscopes to flatbeds to now software editing, which is now the easiest, common and most developed way to edit films. The Zoopriscope was the beginning of a new era. The Zoopriscope was invented by Edward Muybridge in the time of 1879, and this had projected a moving image through a disc in a time 10 seconds, which had around 20 images flicked. Manipulation of diegetic time and space. Diegetic time is manipulated in a number of films to emphasize the amount of time which has passed. In romantic films, couples tend to spend time at a beach and watch the sunrise go down, and even sleep if they feel like they want to. As they are at the beach watching the sunrise go down, which could take hours, the editor will speed up the footage dramatically so the sunrise is shown going down in a matter of seconds after the attention is off the couple. When the sunrise has gone down and then came back up, that's when it is daytime and the focus is back on the couple. This is very effective, because it feels as if the viewer has been there all night with them, even though they were only there for a couple of minutes. The purpose of editing is to make footage into a film by adding other footage, effects, sound effects, and many other techniques, etc. Editing techniques are used to manipulate footage through a number of different ways, from dissolves, ghosting, to sound effects like gunshots. Editing techniques in most horror films are used to create more tension and to create an atmosphere that is frightening, like in the Paranormal Activity film. The editing technique, which was the CCTV crackling up and then turning off to show that the ghost had got them. There was no sign of, so this shows that there was no sign of them, and as the CCTV had turned off, the viewers were puzzled of what was going to happen next. Editing can be used for the purpose of persuading, like for example, if there's an advert about a sexy perfume for women, then there will most likely be a sexy sound effects over the film and the visual of a seducing lady like Beyonce. The person who would who this advert would be targeted at would be a male, because as he is lusting over this visual of this woman, he would buy this product for his wife, so she would be just like the woman in the advert, but in reality it's just fake. The principles of editing, conventions and techniques. Point of view shots are used to emphasize the position that the character is in. Like if the character is about to do a stunt and it's risky, such as skydiving, then the point of view shot of how high the person intrigues the viewer to be in the position that the actor is in. Points of view shots are most commonly used in films that are about fighting, as if you are in the view of the fighter, then you can see his reality and what he's going through. Shot reverse. Shot reverse is commonly used in situations where there are two characters involved and they are in a disagreement or an interview, like in a police investigations where the detective asks the suspect the question and then the suspect replies in a shot reverse technique as it goes back and forth, providing and withholding information.